Great to have you with us. Now, two justices of the Supreme Court, Julius Ansah and Sophia Adinyira, have assured parties in the case challenging the construction of the National Cathedral that the court is eager to deal with the matter expeditiously. James Kwabena, a member of the Convention People's Party (CPP), in March 2017, dragged the Attorney General to the Apex Court, seeking a declaration that the decision of government to purposely endorse, assist, aid, partly sponsor, and or support the construction of a national cathedral near the State House of Ghana for Christian interdenominational church services amounts to an excessive entanglement of the Republic of Ghana and in religion, and therefore it's unconstitutional. Let's get onto the phone and speak with our court correspondent, Joseph Akable. Joseph, bring us up to speed on today's proceedings.
So, Daniel, a bit of background. You will recall that this case was filed by Mr. Bonfe in March 2017. This was just 4 days after the president had announced that the National Cathedral will be constructed to mark Ghana's anniversary celebration. Now, at that time, he filed the case. He didn't make an injunction application. He was only asking for the court to determine whether the actions of government by assisting the church put up that cathedral amounted to involvement in religious affairs, which is unconstitutional in his opinion. Now, later this year, in the earlier part of this year, he filed for an injunction. This followed revelations that some court of appeal judges will have to be evicted from their residences to make way for that construction. Now, he has been expecting the case to be heard and has in fact gone on record many times complaining about the slow pace of the case. Now, today, the justices assured that they are bent on disposing the matter immediately. So they asked that the parties involved in the case, that is the Attorney General and lawyers for James Kwabena Bonfe, to agree on the issues that they think are important to this particular case and file the memorandum of agreed issues. Now, once they file that, the court is expecting to fix a date to give its judgment. So that is to be filed within 7 days. But a concern that the Attorney General, the Deputy Attorney General, Godfrey Yeboah-Dame, raised was the fact that there was an injunction that was pending, and they expected that the court would deal with it immediately. And that, we understand, is preventing the state from going ahead with the demolition and allowing the construction to begin. But the justice responded that that will remain pending, and they want the memorandum of issues to be filed, and once they fix a date for judgment, those two issues will be dealt with at the same time.
Thank you very much, Joseph Akable, for joining us with those updates. We're going to move into other stories now on Joy News Today. And 2,177,751 voters in the 47 districts of the 6 regions to be carved out of the existing 10 will have the opportunity to verify their details as the EC commences exhibition of the voters register tomorrow, October 25. According to the Commission, all is set for the exercise, which will last till October 31, 2018. This exercise follows the limited registration exercise carried out by the Commission in the referendum enclave. Chairperson of the Commission, Jean Mensah, addressed the press a while ago. She has been outlining guidelines for the process.
These jingles will be played on radio, and indeed have started being played on radio and local FM stations before and throughout the exercise. Now to the accredited persons. In addition to the registered voters who may come to check their names and other particulars on any of the voters' registers at the exhibition center, the following persons are allowed to have access to the center. Monitors should, however, carry accreditation cards. 3, persons accompanying registered voters who have a of disability. Persons authorized by the Commission, including party representatives, journalists, and other observers. These persons must, however, show authorization. Other qualified persons who wish to inspect the names and particulars of registered voters. Friends of the media, by this press briefing, it is the Electoral Commission's expectation that the public has been duly informed of the exhibition of the voters' register. The Commission therefore encourages active participation on the part of all Ghanaians in this very important exercise. And we look forward to engaging with you further on your various stations. Thank you so much.
We take you back to court because the Kumasi Circuit Court has granted bail to 3 members of the Delta Force who were arrested for causing chaos at a meeting between the Old Tafo Member of Parliament and his party members. Now, one other accused person, Yao Brefo, has been discharged for lack of evidence. The 3 have been charged with conspiracy to cause unlawful damage, causing unlawful damage and rioting. The court presided over by Her Honor Lydia Osei Mafu ruled that the accused must comply with the bail conditions. Counsel for the accused, William Kusi, has been given details of the bail conditions to Joy News.
When we came back to court, because the case was adjourned today, the 24th, when we came, the police, even though said they have not finished with the investigation, they brought 2 more people and discharged the second accused person because they come to the conclusion he wasn't involved at all. The 3 other accused persons have been granted bail in the sum of 20,000 each with 1 surety. They are also in addition to report to the police every Monday morning. So that is the state of the case now. On the 21st, we begin the trial.
So are you now satisfied with?
Very satisfied. That is what should happen. You see that the second accused has been found not to be there at all. Yet he has been kept in prison custody for 2 weeks. Who compensates him? If he gets sick, who takes him to the hospital? That is why we're saying that the court can grant bail and allow them to investigate. At the end of the day, you realize that probably the others were not even there. You can't tell till the evidence has been taken. So we are satisfied this morning, and then at the end of the day, we'll be vindicated.
Now, the accused that will appear in court on November 21. You're still watching Joy News today. Now, some retailers in the tilapia business say the recent deaths of tons of fish on a Chinese fish farm is impacting negatively on the market. They say although authorities have allayed the fears of the public, they continue to witness a drop in their sales. Maxwell Agbagba has been interacting with some of them.
Well, call it the tilapia scare after pictures emerge of some women collecting some dead fish from a Chinese fish farm. Well, the tilapia, tons of them actually died en masse, on that particular farm. Or there were fears that the women were going in there to collect the dead fish. Of course, we do not, as of now, know why they died en masse. Tons of them died en masse. Investigations are still ongoing to find out why they died in that manner. The fear was that tilapia was going to get onto, the market, and there were claims that the woman was going to use them. We're going to use the fish for assorted fish, what is locally known as Kobe. So today we are here at Voter Catch. There's a lot of tilapia retailing, wholesaling, going on here. We saw earlier in the morning, we saw a lot of women coming for tilapia to go and sell on the market. We want to talk to the people in the business to find out from them whether what I want to call the tilapia scare has actually affected their business. This is your taxi, right?
Yes.
And we have a lot of tilapia in there.
Yeah, actually it did affect it because how the news came about let the customers withdraw a little because they assume it is the whole tilapia in Ghana that is being affected. But with time, we are trying to educate them that it is not. It is just a portion of the farms, not Voter Catch, because we do pick our product from Voter Catch to the customers. So actually, it has brought a little chaos or something of that sort.
It has affected business?
Of course, it has affected business. The way we do first buy, if in previous we used to buy 10, now we are buying like 3.
Me to 2 tilapia no roadside.
Okay, well, she grills tilapia by the roadside.
Yento kra. I say Jano yento. Say the quiet now san ye de namunaba.
Well, she says the scare has actually affected the market. People really do not buy the tilapia now because of the scare.
Well, I'm a bulk buyer here.
You're a bulk buyer, so you buy and then you supply to hotels and
bulk quantities, and then supply to my customers elsewhere, parts of Accra, Ashama Market, and then Tema.
Yeah. Has this affected your markets too?
It has affected the market very much. What the news that came out was actually, I don't know how the news was carried out, but it has put in fears in people that tilapia is bad, tilapia is unconsumable, or when they consume it, it will hurt them. I think that's not the problem. What happened was, it happened at some part of a Chinese farm. Yeah. So please, we are pleading with you. Please try and then educate the customers for us. Actually, first I can buy a lot. I do buy more than 1 ton, 1.5 ton, 2 tons. But now the market has dropped so much that you come and then buy sometimes 10 crates. And even that one, you give it to the market, the customers, and it takes them about 2-3 days, and they are not able to sell it. Fish that they sell in a day, it takes them more than 1 week, and they are not selling. I think the situation is very bad. Yeah. We are pleading with the general public that they should not be afraid. I think what happened has been resolved. So now the tilapia coming into the market is good. Most especially, if that of Volta catch, you are assured of quality tilapia, freshness.
Now, was the Sales and Quality Assurance Coordinator of Volta Catch, Ricky Apia, expressing concern about the situation?
Affecting our business is an industry problem, but we've seen customers have not been coming. People have the fear because initially the news came as a poisoning. The news came as a poisoning, but actually, when Ghana Standard Authority came out, there is no instance of poisoning in the system. And the farm which was affected has been closed down. Yet customers or the public do entertain the fear of poisoning. So they're not patronizing our store, they're not coming out.
Are you able to tell us the quantity you're able to sell and how much you sell it now?
Yeah, for Volta Catch, we are nationwide. We have our depots. Like the Tema depot we stand in is basically a good sales, but you came, you see, you don't have much people here. That has been a problem. We want to assure the public that we operate at an international standard and we have our stock of good quality. So they should not entertain any fear.
Still watching Joy News today. I am Daniel Dazi. We'll take these important messages. When we come back, we'll tell you about the latest on KNUST. Thanks for staying with us. Now, Chancellor of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, Otumfuo Oseiutu II, has summoned all parties involved in Monday's disturbances that led to the indefinite shutdown of the university. Yesterday, the King of Ashanti sent a delegation led by Bantamahene on a fact-finding mission to the university. Now, Bantamahene says Otumfuo wants to bring a closure to the matter. Meanwhile, government says it will soon come out with a firm decision to resolve the matter following high-level meetings yesterday. We'll take you live to the school shortly, but before that, here's the story so far. Erastus Asaridonko is live at KNUST with an update. Erastus, what's the latest on campus?
Well, Daniel, the latest is that as of yesterday, the military personnel in the afternoon drove the remaining students on campus from all the halls, and many of them are under lock and key at the moment. So there is nobody on campus, not even a single student at the moment. All the halls have been locked up. I do understand that cleaners have been assigned to clean the waste that were thrown onto the roads, the debris and everything, and they have started that one as well. There is military reinforcement on campus at the moment. They brought in fresh hands, and they are patrolling the place. There are also military men at vantage points at the various halls, the KNUST Great Hall area, the administrative block, Katanga residence, and then the Brunei, where the foreign students are at the moment. So it's only the foreign students who are located at the Brunei hostels who are on campus at the moment. Aside that, all the students have left.
Pastor Sasaridonko for that report. Now, the Executive Council of the African Union has ordered an investigation into Daniel Batidam's resignation and allegations of corruption within the Union Advisory Board on Corruption. Daniel Batidam, a former advisor to President Mahama on corruption, resigned from the AU Advisory Board on Corruption in June this year, accusing the body of abuse of trusted power, corruption, lack of probity, accountability, transparency, and integrity. Chairperson of the Advisory Board on Corruption, Begoto Miarom, says the investigations into Mr. Batidam's allegations began in September. He spoke to Manasseh Azuriabuni on the sidelines of the 18th International Anti-Corruption Conference currently underway in Copenhagen, Denmark.
Just before the March Summit, and we took this resignation sent to the Executive Council. It's really that since today we didn't receive any response, but the deliberate organ decided to take some decisions, and the first thing they do is to make a performance audit for all organs. You know, in this resignation, he makes some comments about all issue, about administrative issue, financial issue also. So the first decision is to do a performance audit, and this is already started since September, and we are waiting about the report of this audit. This audit is concern all organs of African Union. The second decision is taken by the Executive Council is an independent audit for administrative, financial, and human resource also. So now in the Commission of African Union, they will look for an independent auditor to do this job. So we are waiting also this recommendation.
Now, the Auditor General of Ghana, Daniel Domelevo, has said that accountants are among the main group of persons responsible for institutional corruption. He's therefore called on international accounting bodies to tighten their regulations in order to ensure integrity and compliance. Mr. Domelevo was speaking at the ongoing International Anti-Corruption Conference in Denmark.
We are in this together, then he keeps quiet. Then comes the external auditor. He looks at the financials. He secularizes and knows these debtors are no debtors. These are monies that have been taken by the owners of the business and is never going to be paid anyway. But he certifies that yes, this is a true financial statement. I must say that it's not easy to do some of the things that auditors are supposed to do. Coming from Ghana, I deem myself very fortunate because our legal framework is very different, even from the developed countries. I've met many of the auditors general. They don't have the type of law I do have.
Sharing Ghana's experience, Mr. Domelevo praised our laws on the Office of the Auditor General and revealed some African countries have adopted Ghana's legislation to ensure the independence of the audit service.
The law in Ghana, which is the constitution, mandates me as the Auditor General, apart from auditing, to hold people accountable. And actually, last year, the Supreme Court ruled that the people mentioned in the Constitution are not public servants. So anyone who is responsible for the abuse or loss of public funds can be held accountable. As a result of which, in the course of our audits, we are able to disallow expenditures and surcharge. For your information, January this year, I issued a report in which I disallowed 5.4 billion Ghana cedis, equivalent of 1.2 billion US dollars. I cancelled it. And according to our constitution, unless you go to High Court and the court rules against me, you can't take that money, and that money is safe up to now. So this is some of the realization which I brought to the table when we met in Rwanda early this year. And many of the African countries happily have started adopting our law. South Africa was the last one to join about 2 months ago. Sierra Leone has it, Liberia has it, Nigeria has it. So this is the development coming up. I'll keep it short. And if there are any follow-up questions, I can answer. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Short, sweet, and extremely.
Now, Ghana's delegations to the conference include Deputy Finance Minister Kweku Kwarteng, Special Prosecutor Martin Amidu, Head of Ghana Integrity Initiative Linda Ofori-Kwafo, journalists and civil society activists. Still watching Joy News today. Let's stay with the subject of corruption, because a Corruption Watch investigation has revealed the Environmental Protection Agency sunk 1.5 million Ghana cedis into questionable contracts. Two former executive directors, John Palmine and Peter Sarkodie, approved contracts above the contract's threshold as entity heads without recourse to the EPA's Entity Tender Committee. Corruption Watch investigator Frederick Esiama has more details.
It cost the EPA 64,066 cedis. After the price of a box containing 12 bottles of Better Malt was hiked from 50 Ghana cedis to 150 Ghana cedis.
So a box of Better Malt costs 50 Ghana cedis?
Yes, a box.
12 bottles.
Pack, it has 12 bottles in it.
But it was moved to 150 Ghana cedis.
Yes. Let me just chip in that you remember when we were doing the NLA contracts, there was also a case of Better Malt. In that case also the unit price was 50 Ghana cedis.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
But in this case, the unit price moved from 50 Ghana cedis to 150.
And
Ghana
this is
cedis.
where that computation comes from, that it then takes the cost of a bottle of Better Malt to about 12 cedis 50 pesos.
Yes.
Interesting.
So the notification of contract award letter dated 14 December 2017 and signed by Mr. Sarkodie indicated the unit price of Better Malt at 150 cedis. This amount was 3 times the figure recorded in the evaluation report, which captured the bidding price for Better Malt as 50 cedis. Mr. Sarkodie has defended the signing of the contract without entity tender committee approval, saying the EPA did not have an entity tender committee at the time. However, he says the price change was an error and the supplier, Trinity 3 Consort, was notified a few weeks later to refund the 64,000 cedis as overpayment.
Still watching Joy News today, I am Daniel Daze. Emmanuel Abuajibiafi comes your way next with business. Now, armed robbers have broken into the police armory in the northern region town of Daboya, making away with some weapons. Highly placed sources within the police service have confirmed that investigations are already underway and some officers have been invited. But residents who witnessed police reactions say an unspecified number of officers were picked up. I spoke earlier with our correspondent Martina Bogri.
What the residents told me was that on Saturday, the robbers broke into the place and made away with some weapons. They also told me that this is not the first time that they have stolen from the police. They said last year, the police quarters, which is very close to the police station where they robbed on Saturday, they came to pick their motorbikes. And so it is not the first time they have actually witnessed people breaking into the police own home to steal. Okay. And what they said was that on Sunday, a team from the regional command came into the district and picked some officers back to Tamale for interrogation. And they also said that if the police, who are supposed to be people they can trust to protect them, can be robbed that easily, it means that they are not safe. But when I spoke to somebody at the command this morning, he said they only invited one officer to the regional command for interrogation, and preliminary investigation shows there was no any collusion, and that's why he's been asked to go back to his post. So I asked, normally when there's something like that, what would be the possible punishment that would be meted out to the person? And he says that possibly he'll be interdicted. And so briefly, this is what we have gathered.
Martina, you did say a bit earlier that this is not the first time that this is happening. Do we know how the previous robberies ended in terms of, was anybody prosecuted? Was any police officer found culpable, for instance?
That was their own personal properties that were stolen, and so nothing came out of it. But the people are hoping that this time something will be done so that it will put them up a bit, because they believe that it was the person who was supposed to be at post was not doing his job. And the police source also tell me that they believe the person was not at post. And so if he's supposed to be working and he's not there, it means that he was not up to his task. That is what they are telling me.
What weapons were taken away exactly, do we know, in terms of numbers also?
The police tell me too, but the residents also they say it's more than that. And so it's a bit conflicting, because the residents tell you something else and the police also are telling you a different thing.